So the idea of finishing a piece is really an interesting concept that comes into creative practice. You know, you have that initial concept and feeling that you're trying to express in terms of sound, and you come to a certain point within inside yourself where you feel and know that you've articulated that creative thing within inside you. In terms of the process of that, really, usually for me, it's really sort of like an abstract or an inside feeling that I need to compose. It then really articulates into sort of like a sketch score. Then it can come into like more of a fuller score. It then can be then articulated and detailed, more color worked. And so there's a certain point where that clicks, you know, and you know it works. And then there's like a confirmation of that when it's performed, you know, and you can etch some of the more details. But it's really an internal thing, you know, it clicks and that emotion comes back. And it's like a living part of you is suddenly out in the air. Some of the problems can be just the normal problems that anyone faces in life, you know. And one of the problems is when you start to go into creative mode, is you become hypersensitive, you know. So I can shut down and not be creative, you know. But if I start to open up the creative side to myself, I also become vulnerable because you hear other people's voices and ideas and what they're trying to express, their pain, their sympathy, their joy. But also one of the problems is when you become heightened like that, it can be overwhelming as a creative person, you know. So sometimes you don't want to start because you know that when you start, you're going to become vulnerable, you know. But the thing is, if you push through in that, into that vulnerability and trying to express what you feel and make something positive out of it, you start, you know, after a while, you rise beyond that vulnerability and you start creating something and it becomes alive to you in an imaginative way. And so you actually can't stop. So through this journey and any sort of artistic practice, I think really we all have creative mentors who we admire and who nurture us in terms of our development over many years. For me, I'm from New Zealand, and which is probably one of the smallest cultures in the world, not the smallest, but one of them. It's like 3 or 4 million and about 60 million sheep, right? So it's quite a small culture, right? You know, and so Chu Chung is a very well-known Chinese American composer at New York, invited me to a festival in Japan. And I met some really amazing people there. Chinri Ung is a Cambodian composer, and Chu Chung, who's really it's what the Chinese Wenran. So he thinks it's the Wenran is like has this whole breadth of the arts and creative arts, not just one form. And so he was really encouraging us to use both our cultures, both a European training, so I'm from Polish culture, so but also the music of the Asia Pacific where we live, and to combine, why not have both heritages and express them? So when I came back from Britain, I was broken really because I felt like I didn't fit anywhere, but Peter Sculthorpe and Chu Chung and Chinri Ung encouraged me that actually I did have a heritage and it was part of the Asia Pacific, and I wasn't unusual, that's a part of a family. So those people have really encouraged me.